Vernon Vibes is brought to you in part by United Water, the official water company of Vernon Township. United Water, involved in the communities they serve.
The Vernon Independent Retailers Association reminds you that when you shop locally, you're helping to build our community by supporting local employment and keeping your tax dollars in our community. Support the Vernon Independent Retailers who support you. Brought to you by The Copy Center, H&H Auto Parts, Healthy Times Market, Heaven Hill Farm, Lakeland Pool and Spa, McAfee Ski and Snowboard, Valley Paint and Hardware, and Vernon Tire and Auto Center. Come in, we're local.
Mayor Murata has done an excellent job in these past 4 years, really put Vernon straight on the right path. He's trying to be proactive instead of reactive, and I vote for somebody not because they're a friend, it's how they conduct business.
For the first time in perhaps 2 decades, he has made some very positive changes in Vernon Township. He's literally turned our entire town around.
I'd support him for 4 years, I'd support him for 8 years. Done a lot of good in the town, it's only going to get better.
Paid for by the committee to re-elect Vic Murata, Mayor of Vernon.
Hi, I'm Shannon Sweeney. I've been a player or coach for most of my life, and I understand the need to keep our kids motivated and safe. As a parent and coach, I also understand the need to make sure our children are protected. That's why insurance is as an important part of the game as a good coach is. I've known my fellow coach, Wayne Dietz, for 10 years. I've seen him motivate and inspire players both on and off the floor. I've also seen him make sure that our children are safe by making sure that the teams are properly insured. As a coach, we don't often think about insurance, and when you work with Wayne and his team at D&H Risk Solutions, you won't have to. They take care of everything with honesty and integrity so that you can focus on what you do best, coaching your team to victory.
Good evening, and welcome to Vernon Vibes. As always, it's great to be with you. I look forward to it. And we've got a lot of things that we want to talk about this evening, so let's get started. As you know, normally I record this show the day after a town council meeting. However, this one is being recorded today on the 13th of October, and there was not a council meeting last evening because of Columbus Day. Town Hall was closed. So actually, you'll probably have an opportunity to at least see the first edition of this on SEC TV before the next council meeting, which is Thursday night, October the 15th. So I'd just like to take a minute, if I may, to run through some of the things that are on the agenda for the 15th. And certainly if you hear anything that triggers your interest, I would encourage you to come on out and just sit and see how your town council functions. To start with, the council and I will be issuing a joint proclamation making the month of October Breast Cancer Awareness Month in Vernon Township. This is something that we have been involved with now for quite so many years, certainly throughout my first term. And many of you who drive past the Municipal Center will notice that there are pink ribbons tied around the trees. That is done by volunteers to call to your attention the importance of early detection and the support for eradicating breast cancer amongst us. And so that will be on the agenda. There's really a couple of interesting things that I want to call to your attention in the area of resolution. There is a resolution on the agenda to accept a bond from the United Water of New Jersey. And that bond basically is for the work that's going to be done for the main interconnection, the isolation and extension work on Route 94 and Church Street here in Vernon Township. You've heard me oftentimes speak about the fact that we now have central water, or will shortly have central water, in about 40% of the area where the sewer lines have been laid in the town center. And this bond is required to allow the United Water Company to, in fact, dig up our streets and make the connections and put it back the way it should be and repave it. And so that bond has been presented, the engineer has cleared it, and it'll be before the town council for acceptance. All of that means that it won't be long before the water will be on and the CVS will be open. And certainly if you've driven through town, the center of town, you know that the new CVS building is going up extremely rapidly. I've had the opportunity to speak with the owners of the property, and they anticipate that building will be turned over to the CVS Corporation somewhere near the end of this month, the 30th or the 1st of November, thereabouts, at which point in time CVS will go about actually stocking their store with a target date for opening before Thanksgiving 2015. All I can say is that, having made my living many years in construction, even I've been impressed with the rapidity and with the amount of building that has gone on a very small, congested lot. The logistics of it really are phenomenal, and when you see that building completed, I know that you will go, wow. It's not just one of those typical CVS bandboxes, not at all. That building will match the Adirondack theme of Vernon Township, and I do believe that for one of the first buildings in a long time in our town center, it's certainly going to be one of the flagships as we go forward. So that's moving ahead. There also will be a resolution on the agenda which calls for a change order having to do with the construction of the salt shed. And that has to do with the fact that we made a decision to change the diameter of the salt shed. Actually, we had to make the asphalt pad extend another 10 feet outside the concrete walls, and the change order actually covers that amount of work. It's already done. As I'm talking to you, the concrete form company that will in fact erect and then pour the base of that salt shed, that salt storage shed, will be on campus, and we anticipate that building should be done before the snow flies. I'll be back in just a minute.
The Vernon Independent Retailers Association reminds you that when you shop locally, you're helping to build our community by supporting local employment and keeping your tax dollars in our community. Support the Vernon Independent Retailers who support you. Brought to you by The Copy Center, H&H Auto Parts, Healthy Times Market, Heaven Hill Farm, Lakeland Pool and Spa, McAfee Ski and Snowboard, Valley Paint and Hardware, and Vernon Tire and Auto Center. Come in, we're local.
Vernon Vibes is brought to you in part by United Water, the official water company of Vernon Township. United Water, involved in the communities they serve.
Welcome back. In addition to the things that we mentioned in the first segment, there are a few other small housekeeping things, like a resolution to authorize the mailing of tax sale notices, a resolution that allows the placement of signs for the Viking Club in various locations in the township. Actually, there's a resolution requesting approval of revenue and appropriation amending the 2015 budget as a revenue and appropriation of $25,000. There's a resolution to authorize placement of signs in various locations for St. Francis de Sales Church. And there's also a resolution governing of the governing body authorizing execution of an amendment to the Municipal Shared Services Defense Agreement. Let me talk just for a moment about that, if I may. You may recall that in the past, I've spoken to you about the mess in Trenton concerning COA, the Council on Affordable Housing. And it has gone through, at least during the 4 years that I've been mayor, it has gone through some of the most torturous legal and political battles that I've ever really observed at the state level for one particular thing. But what it comes down to now is that the courts have taken responsibility. They've taken the COA responsibility away from the Council on Affordable Housing, and they have generated a formula that will determine what each community's affordable housing quota is going to be. And part of that process is being able to demonstrate to the courts at some point in the future that, in fact, the number that's been assigned to your community or is too high or too low or whatever it may be. There's been a lot of disagreement as to what that number should be. And the last one that I saw for Vernon said that in the next 10 years, we had to add over 950 affordable housing units in the town of Vernon. It goes without saying. That's absolutely irresponsible. First of all, with the Highlands Act, There's certainly not enough room for us to build any more new single-family houses, and certainly not ones that would qualify as affordable housing. There is the possibility of rehabilitation of existing homes, but that number, you would be surprised, is quite small in the total of the number of housing units we have in Vernon. And of course, the third is apartment buildings, which, because of our height variances and because of other environmental constraints that make up our master plan as well as the Highlands plan, would be very tough to do. So, having said all of that, we are joining a consortium of some 260 of the 564 municipalities to, in fact, generate a study by a third party that is disinterested, that is not on the builder side of this, that is not on the social services side of this, that is not on the court or on the administration of the state government, someone who is objective. And so we are joining that. If my memory serves me right, we're recommending a $2,000 fee, and that will be the total fee to generate the report. When that happens, we'll have a better fix on that day when we're going to have that senior housing over on Theta Drive. I'll be back in just a minute.
The Vernon Independent Retailers Association reminds you that when you shop locally, you're helping to build our community by supporting local employment and keeping your tax dollars in our community. Support the Vernon Independent Retailers who support you. Brought to you by The Copy Center, H&H Auto Parts, Healthy Times Market, Heaven Hill Farm, Lakeland Pool and Spa, McAfee Ski and Snowboard, Valley Paint and Hardware, and Vernon Tire and Auto Center. Come in, we're local.
Vernon Vibes is brought to you in part by United Water, the official water company of Vernon Township. United Water, involved in the communities they serve.
Welcome back. Now, there's another item on the agenda for next Thursday night's meeting that I'd like to speak to you about. And I have in the past when this issue comes up, and it's here again. It's called Best Practices. The New Jersey Department of Community Affairs every year presents to every municipality, Vernon included, a list of questions concerning practices that are implemented in town hall as to how we handle our business. And interestingly enough, each year those questions change. So the priority, for example, last year was, what are you doing about taking care of handicapped access? This year it includes, what are you doing about negotiating an end to longevity pay? I mean, every year something changes in this best practices. And so why do you really care? Well, because what happens is, if the township isn't able to answer yes to a certain percentage of the 85 different areas that are included, then our state aid is reduced by a percentage. So it's extremely important that, in fact, we implement, and it's a tool that the state uses to make the townships implement the kinds of programs and progress and changes that they want to see in the way the townships do business. I know that my department heads, under the leadership of Mr. Bill Zuckerman in this particular case, have done an outstanding job in addressing the best practices, and that survey will be presented to the council and discussed by the council on Thursday evening. I'm happy to report to you that for the fourth straight year, Vernon Township not only met but exceeded the minimum requirements, and we will not have our state aid decreased in any way, shape, or form as a result of it. So those are kind of the highlights of what to look for at this upcoming meeting. Of course, no one ever knows exactly what's going to happen when we get to the public comments section, but the closer we get to the election, the more entertaining that part of the meeting tends to be. And so we'll look forward to seeing you on Thursday evening on October 15th, at which time we'll carry on the business of the township in the manner that I've just mentioned. I'll be back in just a second.
Mayor Murata has done an excellent job in these past 4 years, really put Vernon straight on the right path. He's trying to be proactive instead of reactive, and I vote for somebody not because they're a friend, it's how they conduct business.
For the first time in perhaps 2 decades, he has made some very positive changes in Vernon Township. He's literally turned our entire town around.
I'd support him for 4 years. I'd support him for 8 years. Done a lot of good in the town. It's only going to get better.
Paid for by the committee to re-elect Vic Marotta, Mayor of Vernon.
Vernon Vibes is brought to you in part by United Water, the official water company of Vernon Township. United Water, involved in the communities they serve.
Welcome back. I'd like to take a couple of minutes to talk about another issue, one that I'm sure has gotten already and probably will get more press time or coverage between now and election. You will recall that on many occasions in the past, the people who seem to think that the salary for this mayor should be nothing, or certainly not any higher than it is, have said over and over and over that in 2011 I said I wanted to be a part-time mayor and that I'd do it for $500 a week. And I've repeatedly indicated that that statement, which has been repeated ad nauseum to the point where now people just seem to think that, well, that's what you said, isn't it, Vic? Well, I did some digging. And I went back and pulled off of my computer the written responses that I gave to the various newspapers. And this morning, I'd like to read to you exactly what I said in 2011. And this was published in the New Jersey Herald on May the 2nd in 2011. If elected, I will recommend to the new council on July 1st that I be a part-time mayor. The operative word is the last sentence. In the last sentence is recommend. Since under our new form of government, that decision is solely the purview of the town council. I repeat here what I have said and written in other places. I am the only candidate for mayor with the management skills, budget experience, government experience, corporate experience, and problem-solving skills to serve the community either way, full or part-time. That is the statement that was in the Herald. It's the statement that was in the Advertiser and in the AIM. Ladies and gentlemen, any good manager knows that when you move into a situation, the last thing that you do is make critical changes right away. You, in fact, move into your responsibility and spend at least the first 6 months assessing personnel, assets, problem areas, prioritizing what needs to be addressed first, what kind of resources need to be applied to it. And so I did recommend to the Vernon Town Council in July of 2011 that I be a part-time mayor, and their assessment of it, the majority of that council said no. No. The people voted this form of government in for a full-time mayor, and knowing what we know, we think that that's what you should be. My adversaries say, well, they never did a resolution, or they never did this, or they never did that. They said it to me, and they said it to me in the presence of other people on more than one occasion. And so the point of the matter is this, okay? Full-time, part-time, that's up to the council. Except because of Mrs. Rinker's lawsuit that she brought against the township, Judge Wiesenbach determined I'm a full-time employee. And that had to do with the amount of hours and the kind of job that I've done for you. So that issue is moot. But it brings us to a ballot question, which you're going to have the opportunity to vote on. And that is whether or not the mayor of Vernon should be paid $36,000 a year instead of $30,000. And one of my major opponents is on his Facebook page indicating that, no, he definitely is going to be a part-time mayor, and he'll do it for $30,000 a year, which is really very interesting. You see, because his other part-time job, should he become the mayor, is guarding a door at the high school, where the town Board of Education pays him $24.67 an hour for roughly 20 hours a week. That's a far cry from the $15 he purported on his Facebook page. But nonetheless, if you do your math, he'd be collecting somewhere in the area of $65,000 a year from the people of Vernon. Half of it from the Board of Education, half of it from the town. Not a bad deal if you can get it. Not a bad deal at all. There's some other things that I would like to bring to your attention and I will in the next segment. I'll be right back.
The Vernon Independent Retailers Association reminds you that when you shop locally, you're helping to build our community by supporting local employment and keeping your tax dollars in our community. Support the Vernon Independent Retailers who support you. Brought to you by The Copy Center, H&H Auto Parts, Healthy Times Market, Heaven Hill Farm, Lakeland Pool and Spa, McAfee Ski and Snowboard, Valley Paint and Hardware, and Vernon Tire and Auto Center. Come in, we're local.
Vernon Vibes is brought to you in part by United Water, the official water company of Vernon Township. United Water, involved in the communities they serve.
Welcome back. Good chance that by the time you see this, you will have read in at least one of the newspapers, if not more, that there actually were 3 mayoral debates that were proposed this fall. First, the Vernon Historical Society proposed a live debate to be held at the Vernon High School. Second, WTBQ Radio proposed 2 live debates on the radio. And thirdly, I've been informed that the New Jersey Herald was planning, in fact, to offer a debate to be done, I think, a video debate to be shot at the video studio at the Sussex County Community College. Now, all 3 of those entities contacted me, and I immediately said, yes, I'd be more than happy to debate. I think that that's one of the stalwart actions of any political campaign, in letting people know exactly what you think and what you're going to do and what you stand for and what you won't stand for. I'd like to read to you Mr. Shortway's response, because it just says it all. This is quoted from Mr. Shortway's Facebook page, which, by the way, about 4 days ago, when he posted a piece of information that was absolutely incorrect, and I responded, it was erased. It was erased. Isn't that interesting? Not only does he not want to have a debate, he doesn't want to let anybody answer his accusations, which I think, frankly, is important for you to know. Because this is Mr. Shortway's response. Dear members of the Historical Society, this particular one was a response to the Historical Society's request. I respectfully decline the invitation to debate. Get this. Debates are not included in our strategy to win this election. The last person I remember doing that was Nancy Pelosi, when she told the Congress to vote for Obamacare and then read the bill. How'd that work out for you? Because in all honesty, what that says to me is, elect me, I'll tell you later on what I'm going to do. Well, I'll let you decide as to how important that is to you when you make your decision, but I will tell you this. Mr. Shortway's previous announcement indicating he wasn't a politician, really, Harry? How'd you get to be a council member and deputy mayor in the administration before mine? He says that he's a public servant and that he has administrative experience. You know what that is? He's a sergeant in the West Milford Township Police Department. And when I shared that with some of the police professionals that I know, they laughed. Administration. That's the extent of his management experience, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not putting Harry down, but this campaign, Mr. Shortway has refused to take live questions. When he demanded equal time on WTBQ radio to answer things that I had said on the radio, he went to the radio station and read from a prepared script, just like everything else that's happening, a prepared script. And the script is, somehow or another, the town is corrupt. Hardly. Forensic audit? Here's what I have to say. Bring it on, Harry, because you're going to embarrass yourself. The increase in the recreational trust fund was actually generated by your recreation director in your administration, which left a major problem because your director was collecting funds for programs, putting it into a trust fund, and then paying for the programs out of taxpayers' dollars. That's illegal. Go ahead and have a forensic audit. Let's see what it turns up. I'll be back in just a minute.
Vernon Vibes is brought to you in part by United Water, the official water company of Vernon Township. United Water, involved in the communities they serve.
The Vernon Independent Retailers Association reminds you that when you shop locally, you're helping to build our community by supporting local employment and keeping your tax dollars in our community. Support the Vernon Independent Retailers who support you. Brought to you by The Copy Center, H&H Auto Parts, Healthy Times Market, Heaven Hill Farm, Lakeland Pool and Spa, McAfee Ski and Snowboard, Valley Paint and Hardware, and Vernon Tire and Auto Center. Come in, we're local.
Welcome back. In another post from October 3rd on Mr. Shirtway's Facebook page, he goes on and on about how it's so important for Vic Marotta to get a raise, and after all, you know, it's not really $30,000. There's a $22,000 expense account. Harry, all that proves to me is you and the people who support you don't know how to read a budget. The $22,000 line item that you're talking about is not my personal expense account, but rather is the line item in the mayor's budget and the administration's budget to, in fact, take care of those responsibilities that we have. It's not a personal expense account for Vic Marotta. More misrepresentation, more misleading, more half-truths, more of the same thing of the people who pull your strings, Harry. Gene Murphy, Sally Rinker, Dan Kadish, Sandy Ohms, Bonnie and Mike Rubin, Steve and Mary Ellen Visciconti, and the list goes on. And who are those people? Oh, they're the backbone of the VTA. Harry, the people in Vernon remember that you made Sally Rinker the mayor. They remember your performance as a council member. You're the one who wanted to use the open space funds to build more athletic facilities. Or did you think they forgot that? Harry, you got a lot to answer for yourself. You talk about all the things that you've done, okay? Here's my last question. I'm told you retired from the West Milford Police Department with a physical disability. Says so on your webpage. How is it that I see you running and riding a bike and doing all those sort of things? I'm wondering, what was the disability? And if it was physical, and you're able to do all the things you're doing, why do you still have it? I think you got some things to answer to the people of Vernon, Harry. Thanks for being with us. I'll look forward to our next episode of Vernon Vibes.
Vernon Vibes is brought to you in part by United Water, the official water company of Vernon Township. United Water, involved in the communities they serve.
The Vernon Independent Retailers Association reminds you that when you shop locally, you're helping to build our community by supporting local employment and keeping your tax dollars in our community. Support the Vernon Independent Retailers who support you. Brought to you by The Copy Center, H&H Auto Parts, Healthy Times Market, Heaven Hill Farm, Lakeland Pool and Spa, McAfee Ski and Snowboard, Valley Paint and Hardware, and Vernon Tire and Auto Center. Come in, we're local.
Mayor Marotta has done an excellent job in these past 4 years, really put Vernon straight on the right path. He's trying to be proactive instead of reactive, and I vote for somebody not because they're a friend, it's how they conduct business.
For the first time in perhaps 2 decades, he has made some very positive changes in Vernon Township. He's literally turned our entire town around.
I'd support him for 4 years. I'd support him for 8 years. Done a lot of good in the town. It's only going to get better.
Paid for by the committee to re-elect Vic Marotta, Mayor of Vernon.
Hi, I'm Shannon Sweeney. I've been a player or coach for most of my life, and I understand the need to keep our kids motivated and safe. As a parent and coach, I also understand the need to make sure our children are protected. That's why insurance is as an important part of the game as a good coach is. I've known my fellow coach, Wayne Dietz, for 10 years. I've seen him motivate and inspire players both on and off the floor. I've also seen him make sure that our children are safe by making sure that the teams are properly insured. As a coach, we don't often think about insurance, and when you work with Wayne and his team at D&H Risk Solutions, you won't have to. They take care of everything with honesty and integrity so that you can focus on what you do best, coaching your team to victory.